What's going on, everybody? This is Jeremy. I am the co founder of Patch, where we make getting new patients in the door easier. We do this through technology, CRM, Google Ads, email nurture sequences, which is really why most of you guys are here today, because I'm going to be going over the utilizing the email newsletter template that we've put together. We've successfully run this email newsletter template for my clinic. We use a similar one for Patch. We've put this together for other clinics inside of Patch. And the point of this email newsletter template is to make sending out consistent quality newsletters on a weekly basis easy to do. Using this template should take you about 15 minutes to write these newsletters. Throughout the week, you're going to be gathering information to put in these newsletters. That is part of this, but sitting down and actually writing this newsletter should not take you more than 15 minutes. And I'm going to teach you guys how to do that today. But first, we're going to go over just a little bit more on why a newsletter and what is a newsletter and what is the point of all of the email marketing that we are doing. So let's dive into it. So, we're going to be creating consistent newsletters and email marketing that converts leads into new patients. That is the idea. That's the overall idea of running a cash-based clinic, right? Is that we're getting leads in the door. How do we turn them into patients? And again, there's going to be a free newsletter template at the end. But first, we're going to get into, why writing a weekly newsletter is so important. First off, this is one of the 4 ways to get a new patient. So if you've, learned from me at all, that we break down, there's really only 4 ways to get a new patient in the door. And email marketing, this kind of falls under direct marketing, is one of those other ways. So you have direct marketing, you have search, you have local relationships. There are the 4 ways to get new patients in the door. So this is a really important one. If you're not doing this, then you can't expect your clinic to grow and scale because you need to be doing all 4 of these different ones. So consistency is the key with this as well. You can't just expect to send an email out every once in a while and have 20 people want to buy from you. You have to send nurture emails, which we'll go over what that is in a bit, on a weekly basis. And then as you've educated and built trust with your list, then you can sell them something afterwards. That's why a newsletter is so important for all of this stuff. So, why should a newsletter be top of your priorities? First off, it's not very hard to do. This is very easy. It takes no more than 15 minutes if you do it right. And I believe that writing is the number 1 skill for business owners. If you can't write, then what that tells me is that you can't think. And if you can't clearly think, then it's going to be really hard for you to sell what your service is or get employees to buy into what your service is. So I think all clinic owners should be good writers. They should work on copy. They should work on clear and concise thinking. And it's going to translate all across from your sales to your marketing to being a really good leader. So I think this is a really important thing, more so important than just sending out a weekly email and a newsletter. It also highlights events, promotions, and educates your community. You're probably doing all of this work on the outside to run injury screens or low back pain boot camps or setting up tables at the Saturday morning 5K. What you want to do and what the point of the newsletter is to tell people you've got all of this stuff going on so that they actually show up, so that this event is actually worth it. Again, you're just building reciprocity. The more touch points you can have with people, the easier it is going to be to sell them a package when they come in for physical therapy. And again, the most important thing is email marketing is one of the 4 new ways to get patients. So what happens when you don't stay consistent with your email marketing, right? So you're sending maybe one out, maybe you do, 2 weeks in a row, but then you don't send something for another month, and then 3 months go by and you send something else. Then you try to run a sales campaign. So what happens when that's what your email newsletter and your email marketing looks like? First off, people forget who you are. If you're not consistently staying in the top of their inbox, it doesn't even matter if they're opening these emails or not. As long as you are sending an email, they're seeing your email, and they can associate your email with physical therapy or chiropractic or whatever it is that you're doing, then that is the most important thing. The second thing is, if you're not sending a weekly newsletter out that's educating and entertaining your list, but then you do and you go and send an email out, a couple times a week where you're trying to sell a product, then you're going to come off as salesy. It's going to be really hard to sell that package deal. And you're probably going to get a lot of people to unsubscribe and really not trust you. So we need to build that trust first with the consistent educational emails. And then we can go and we can sell that bigger package when the time is right. And again, scale becomes really hard if you're not sending this weekly newsletter out. All of the clinics that we work with that are doing over 7 figures a year are sending out a weekly newsletter. They're very consistent with it, and that's not by coincidence. They have a trusted community, and part of that trusted community is because they're sending out these emails out. And again, even if you're doing the other 3 ways of getting new patients in the door, if you're missing this last one, then it's going to be really hard to scale and get to that 7-figure mark. So the way we break it down is there's 2 types of email sequences, okay? There's what we call a sales email sequence, and there's a nurture email sequence. When we're talking about a weekly newsletter, something that we stay consistent with, that is going to fall on the nurture side of things. So that's going to be over here. You can see the little light bulb here versus the $sign. We're really not trying to sell anything in these weekly emails. We're trying to educate and we're trying to inform. And again, these are going to go out on a weekly basis. This versus a sales nurture sequence, something that maybe you're doing per quarter or every other quarter, or when you've got something important going on, like you're moving into a new space or you've got a new employee on board. This is going to be something that you're pushing a sale and you're taking action. So you have a hard call to action here, very soft call to action on these. You cannot consistently run sales nurture sequences, but you can always be nurturing your list with education and informative emails. Breaking it down a little bit more here, a sales nurture sequence is getting someone to buy, asking someone to buy, using conversational copy, and to really feel like this is being written to the reader directly. Versus this traditional nurture sequence where we're just educating, we're providing value, we've got a softer call to action, we're not selling anything. If you want to learn more, grab a free phone consult. We're happy to chat with you on the phone. That's going to be more of the call to actions here. And this is, again, where your newsletter is going to come into play. And what we call a block newsletter is going to be the best way to do these. So there are 2 types of emails you can write. A conversational copy newsletter is going to be on this sales nurture side. This is going to be something that we're trying to get somebody to buy. We're trying to persuade somebody to buy what our current offering is. Versus our block newsletter, which is going to be something like a 4-tip Tuesday or a 5-tweet Friday, something that you can replicate with fresh content each week. It should be concise, it should be punchy, and it should be very easy and readable, and you should be able to skim it. For the reader, you want to make this as easy as possible. And again, these block newsletters should never take you more than 15 minutes to put together. So here are the parts of a block newsletter. This is, what it should look like in the email template that you get at the end here. It's going to look just like this. All right, so at the beginning of this, you're going to use 3 to 5 paragraphs, and you're going to tell a little story. This is where your copy work is going to come into play, and what you're going to do here is you're going to basically talk about what's going on right now. So right now it's July 8th as I'm recording this. So what I would do if I was writing this is I would talk about coming off of the 4th of July and how we had an awesome weekend. And, the work week was, kind of a fake work week. And then I had Friday off, and then it was Saturday and Sunday. And now it's Monday, and I'm like, oh, shit, I got to get back to the gym, and I've got to get back into my routine. And you know what? My calf is flared up. I tried to go for a run this morning. Resonate with the reader and put yourself in their shoes and just talk about what's going on here. This should be, again, conversational copy. Should write like you talk. Should be very easy reading. It should entertain the reader here as well. Now we're going to educate with tips and content. So I love repurposing our Instagram content here. So you can put an Instagram post, talk about what that post went over. You can redirect people to your own Instagram just so you can, again, continue providing, showing that you're you're the authority here. You want your readers to hear your voice as many times as possible. It's very, very important. I always repurpose like a good podcast that I listen to here as well. I think a lot of times as PTs and just in the health and wellness space in general, we forget that, the everyday person doesn't know anything about health and wellness. And something that might seem very basic to us, maybe we heard Huberman talk about it, or Peter Attia, or, we just saw an exercise that we liked on Instagram. That is going to be above and beyond the pay grade of what our patients are, what they know and what they're looking for. So that's always really helpful things to share with people, even if you think it's fairly simple. The third section here is going to highlight your events, offers, and community. So if you've got an upcoming, 10K that you're working at a table at, maybe you're doing an injury screen at the local CrossFit gym, you've got a mobility and mimosas at Orange Theory, highlight that stuff here. Maybe you're running open enrollment at the same time. This is a nice little place to plug open enrollment. I always like putting together something here of my clinic, Ripple, is in Boston. I'll always highlight something that's going on in Boston. So, hey, we found, this cool beer garden. We checked it out. It's dog friendly. It's really awesome. And just this doesn't all need to be, Huberman studies in your newsletter. Make it fun, make it enjoyable, and resonate with your reader. Down here, how can people learn more? So this is going to have your contact info, email address, phone number, and then a soft call to action. Hey, if you're interested in learning more, grab 15 minutes and book a discovery call with us. So again, we've got the template below that you can recreate and use for your own. And this really should not take 15 minutes. The key with this one is that, for these things here, I'm consistently gathering what I call a swipe file. So I have screenshots on my phone or saved bookmarks on my computer of cool Instagram posts, nice articles that I found, stuff that I can repurpose in this newsletter. So when I go and I clone last week's newsletter for this week, when I go to write it, all I have to do is input the information that I've already found, and it doesn't take me any time at all. It's really important. Conversational copy newsletter. This is going to be when you're selling a product. So you're selling open enrollment, or you're trying to convince somebody to come in to see a new physical therapist. That is where, you're just going to kind of have some copy. I like these to be branded out for the clinic, certainly. But what this is trying to do is the first 70% is trying to educate and entertain. So you're talking about the problem people are dealing with, how your promotion solves that, and then at the end you're going to persuade and sell people. So you're adding scarcity, you're adding that hard call to action. You're really trying to get people to take that next step forward in order to purchase what you're offering here. So this is going to be a very different email, and again, this is not something you can send out weekly. This you should send out weekly. It's easy to read, it provides value. This only works if you're sending this out on a weekly basis. So it's very important to remember. We're talking more about this conversational copy newsletter. This is, if you're creating an email quarterly marketing campaign, that's the type of style that you want to write in. Okay. So again, if you're selling an open enrollment package, maybe you're doing a New Year's deal, you're doing a Labor Day deal, you've got a new PT that you're trying to sell a discounted package for, you've got a new offering, a new location, whatever it might be. When you're trying to sell something, those block newsletters don't work. What works is that conversational copy newsletter, and that's where you're going to put together this quarterly marketing campaign. So, if you're not running a quarterly marketing campaign, you're leaving money on the table for sure. We call these reason why campaigns because it gives people a reason. Maybe they came in for a workshop and they're on your list. We need to give them a reason to come back in. That is what a quarterly marketing campaign will do. we do this quarterly because it's got to be the right time for people to come in. Okay, so maybe winter. If you're trying to market to me in the winter because I'm trying to ski, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm not going to come in for physical therapy. But the summertime, things die down for me. I'm running a little bit more. That quarterly marketing campaign is going to resonate with me a lot more than a winter one. So that's where you've got to hit different times because your list is going to be paying attention more at on different seasons. So that's why this quarterly is going to be very important. Now, all right, let's get into writing a newsletter. A newsletter is going to be something that you're sending out weekly. It's going to be in that block style, and this is just something to stay top of mind with your readers. And what we want is for them to associate you, your email, your clinic name with physical therapy. So when they do get hurt or they know someone that's hurt, you're going to be top of mind. They're gonna Google your name or they're gonna go back to that email. That's why writing a newsletter is so important. One of the biggest holdups that I get from people though is that they tell me they're not a good writer. I think time is the biggest one, and how long this takes. But obviously, writing a newsletter takes less time if you're a good writer. And becoming a good writer is probably the best thing that I've ever done for myself as a business owner and an entrepreneur. And the number one way to become a good writer is through what we call copy work. Okay, so copy work is popularized by Ben Franklin. He's one of the best writers in history. And what he used to do is he used to observe and understand the words that some of his favorite authors used to use. And then what he would do is he would take those passages and he would copy them down by hand, word for word. That's kind of passed on over the decades and is still a very, very big trend for copywriters today, that they can, you find the best articles that you like, or a really good homepage, or a really good landing page, or a good, page in a book that you just read. And you take that passage and you hand write it and copy it word for word so that you get the feel, you get the flow, you get the style of that. And eventually, over time, you're learning how to write like that person. It's like playing an instrument, right? You learn playing guitar by playing other songs. It's the same thing with writing. So I think this is really effective. I do this all the time throughout my weeks. These are, 4 good examples of articles that I copy, regularly throughout the week. I love Old School Ads. Jason Fried is an amazing writer. Sam Parr as well. The Halbert letters are, super famous. And I take 10 to 15 minutes and I hand write it. It just gets me warmed up to create that newsletter, and is very important. So, using the newsletter template, there's going to be a breakdown video here. Makes it very, very simple. Downloading the newsletter template here. You've got the newsletter template example. So this is going to be the example here. And then this is going to be the template itself. All right. So you guys take a look at both of those. And, you can take those and, copy them into your email provider. If you use HubSpot, I have a template for that. So just let me know and I'm happy to give that over to you. But hopefully this is helpful for you guys. Really excited to hear what you guys think.